Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 121. God, that sounds like a big number of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
How are you, mate?
And in one of those rare things that we don't normally do, but for this one, it's definitely worthwhile. We decided to have someone on far more learned than ourselves. LUFC Stats, Andrew Dalton. How you doing, mate?
Very well, Jack. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's good. It's good to have you on, mate. More than all, I haven't seen you for ages because we haven't been at games, and that's the only place I do.
Hopefully, come August time, we'll have full crowds back in the ground. It's looking that way. Now I have 8,000 at the West Brom game on Sunday, so hopefully come August we can look forward to 40-odd thousand or 38-odd thousand screaming fans at Ellen Road, which I'm sure will make a difference come the start of next season.
Yeah, it'll be really good if we can get everyone back in. And to the 8,000 or so of you that have got tickets, yes. I am equal parts happy for you and really pissed off that I'm not you.
It's what it is, yes.
Yeah. And how about you, mate? Kiss, are you all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, still reeling from... Why would you release news like that at 8:30 in the morning? It's a tough way to start the day.
It really is.
I'll press the button now because that's what we're going to lead with. And this might be the entire podcast. We might not even talk about the games. We'll see what happens. But the club confirmed this morning Pablo Hernandez and Gaetano Berardi will leave the club at the end of the season. Obviously, we all knew this was coming. It's not like it's a shock. But we could logic us way through it and say, yeah, it's the right decision. It's time to go. And then when they actually announced it, it hit me like a train. So just how did you feel when you first read it this morning?
Is that to me or is that to Casey?
It was open-ended, whichever one of you wants to go.
I'll go first then. I think it's hard to kind of comprehend because we all expected it. I was even talking to my mate about it last night, that what change would you make in the summer? Who do you think will stay and go? And we all said Hernandez, Berardi, possibly Alioski would go. And even when the news broke this morning, it was still hard to take in. And I think we've seen all the tributes from all the fans, from all the journalists. I think I've watched the Hernandez goal at Swansea about 4,000 times with Brinlaw's wonderful commentary. And yeah, they've been a massive part of the furniture. Berardi obviously joined in 2014 and has been through 101 managers, ranging from Dave Hockaday to Darko Milanic to right through to obviously Marcelo Bielsa. And Pablo has just been an utter magician since he joined the club in August 2016. And obviously, I know we'll talk a lot about the career shortly, but yeah, it's going to be strange next season. I know obviously Bera only made his first appearance on Tuesday night at Southampton. Obviously, he's been had a long-term injury that he got at Derby County back in the last season, and Pablo's been probably a big part player this season, but that doesn't take away that they were a massive part of what this club achieved last season, and obviously that goal that Hernandez scored is probably up there with the one that Gordon Strachan scored against Leicester City back in April 1990.
Yeah, as I was kind of looking back today on Pablo's time, he feels like he was the first quality player that came in post sort of Snodgrass, Gradle, and that ilk of players leaving. That we went through a lot of journeymen in that period, and then we went through a lot of the Italians and players who came in and went very quickly again in that time. And Pablo really feels like sort of the resetting almost of, no, all right, we're going to build this club again, as opposed to just, here's Paul Green and David Norris for 18 months. All right, now Danny Pugh's back. All right. And just instead of cycling through players so quickly, he was this, no, let's go but get someone who is good. Not who's free, not who's cheap, just he's over there. Go get him here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with him, though, that when we did bring him in, like, although we all knew what quality he had because we'd seen him at Swansea and Valencia, and you knew he had the ability, you didn't know if he was still going to be that guy because he'd been off playing guitar. Like it was at Al Arabi, wasn't it? And
yes, that's right. That's right.
I mean, we only signed him on what was it, a 6-month loan with a view to a permanent, and then when we signed him, it was
That's
only
right,
it was only a 6-month deal at first. With like there's exceeding expectations, and then there's what Pablo Hernandez has done for this club. It was a pun on a aging guy who probably only came in because he'd worked with Monk.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, Jack, that people forget that it was Gary Monk that brought Pablo into the football club. And I remember he made his debut, obviously, I think in the League Cup at Fleetwood, which was an absolute horrible night on the Foul Coast that we went through on penalties. I think Pablo actually scored a penalty that night in the penalty shootout. And it was a very rainy, wet night, and you didn't know how he'd turn out with Leeds. And I think he scored his first goal in a 2-0 victory up at Cardiff City in September 2016 with a brilliant curler into the top corner. And from there on in, his career has never looked back with Leeds. And I'll always remember the emotion after we lost to Derby County in the playoff semi-final in 2019. He had tears. I think we all had tears that night, flooding down. And we didn't know how it would turn out the following season, but lo and behold, he scored the first goal of the 2019-2020 season away at Bristol City. He's just been an integral part. It will be very weird because I think, seeing all the tweets from the players, that you've got two influential players in the dressing room in Berardi and Pablo Hernandez will always be part of what this team did to get out of the Championship or the Football League. So I know we've had 3 years in League One to get out of the Football League after 16 long years, and so many memories. And I think that Swansea goal, and I'll probably reiterate it 100 times, is the goal that probably just about got Leeds over the line at that particular point.
Yeah, I would always say that goal was the moment where I thought we're going up. It's done. I know that they logically, when you look at the state of the league and stuff at the time, we probably would have been fine without that goal. It turns out, but it didn't feel like it at the time. At the time, that was the goal that made me think, we really are going to do this. And it's not just that one game. Obviously, he's done it several times, but the number of games where Leeds weren't at the best, and he seemed to just grab a game by scruff at neck and kind of drag us kicking and screaming into a result. Obviously, ones like top of my head, first one that comes to me head is the Millwall game where we were and came back and he scored twice. That one always comes back to me because he just does some. And it wasn't only that; there was just this air. It was the way that he'd just drop in and go, "No, give me the ball. I'm having it 70 yards from goal, and I'm going to bring it forward, and I'm going to pick the pass, and then I'm going to run forward, and I'm going to be one who scores." He just had that drive that we really needed that kind of kicked us forward.
Yeah, it was great, and especially the decline we went into as fans after we'd lost to Cardiff after the break, and you just thought, "Oh God, here it goes again." And then it just seemed after that this tactic of just put Pablo on at halftime and just give him 45 minutes, and he will be brilliant. Yeah, and I think there's probably only in that run the Barnsley game which that didn't really work in. Outside of that, it was just it entirely encapsulated the philosophy of keep calm and give it to Pablo.
Yeah,
that when we played Fulham, at home then as well.
Apart from the Barnsley,
it was like the Fulham game was so tense, and then you just had the second half of just Pablo just picking out passes wherever he felt like it, and life became easier.
I think apart from the Barnsley game, we almost all had 100 heart attacks watching that game, and I think we'll all be grateful for Sullivan putting the ball into his own net that day. It just goes over the line. As you mentioned there, Casey, the through ball, I think, for Jack Harrison's goal against Fulham was absolutely sensational. And then he ran Stoke ragged in the 5-0 victory. There's so many moments that he can pick out. I remember the game against Norwich in 2016-17 season, when we were fighting to enter the playoffs, we're just about blowing it away at Burton. And we're 3-0 down, I think, after half an hour or so. And we very nearly got it back to 4-3. I know Pablo scored a wonderful free kick. He's the only player to win the Player of the Year award 3 times in a row. Probably hopefully be, I think, Stuart Dallas this time round. But what a career! So many memories, so many moments. And I like the way that you said there, Jack, taking the game by the scruff of the neck. He's just utterly incredible for what he's done, and it'll be, I think, a very raw, emotional day on Sunday. Yeah, it's a shame, obviously, we've not got full crowds there. It is what it is at the moment. But yeah, I know we'll come on to Bera shortly. But as for Pablo, just fantastic career at Leeds. I know he's got a young family over in Castelló in Spain. I think we're all going to catch the first flight out there next month when they start playing next season. But yeah, unbelievable. He's probably our Strachan at the time, that we needed a character to come in, a strong character to come in and just probably carry this team. And that's no disrespect to any of the players that we've got, because it's been an unbelievable achievement what Marcelo's done with this team. Sometimes you just need someone just to turn a game, and obviously he's done that. And that Millwall game was horrendous. Remember, I think they were 1-0 up and 2-1 up, and then I think Luke Ayling scores a brilliant header, and then Hernandez gets the winning goal, and you thought that we might have gone and win promotion. Obviously lost to Derby, but so many memories. It's so hard to list them all, and it's a hard day to take, I think, for all Leeds fans all around the world.
Yeah, one of it, you mentioning that Ayling header, because that was the one that Barry Douglas crossed for when he only had one leg. When he was all broke. It's brought it back, a lot of stuff like this with them going to
That's right.
Because I've remembered
another
the
player. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I remembered, because technically his contract's up now as well. It's just that he's been away for a season.
Yeah.
And then I remember when he went, there was quite a large outpouring for Barry Douglas. And I thought, wow, it really shows what that team meant to people. And then this morning happened, and you would have thought Barry Douglas had never played for us. And that's not having a dig at him. It's just that the outpouring you saw this morning was ridiculous. Obviously, we talked a lot about Pablo. I am sure that we will end up veering back onto Pablo definitely soon, but we should talk about Berardi for a bit. Because I must admit, I do forget that he's been here since 2014. It seems like he's been here forever, and it also doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Yeah.
There's no better way to start talking about Berardi than his debut with his interesting tackle against Accrington Stanley.
It's amazing to think with Berardi. I think he got sent off in. Go on.
So I was just going to say, it's amazing to think how he's been here that long when that's your debut. Like that is the actions of a man you think, well, he's gone by the end of the season. You can't be having that at your football club.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he got sent off against Accrington, then he got sent off against Huddersfield in a 3-0 victory. So I think he's the only player in the history of the football club to get sent off under 2 different managers in the space of three games or something. I'll look at that shortly. But yeah, that kung fu kick on, I can't remember who the Accrington player was. You sat there thinking, what have we signed here? And lo and behold, I think the turning point for Bera was the 6 at Charlton. Obviously there was the players then. The story goes, you probably well know, the players refused to play for the club. Bera was injured, and I think he was on the bench at Charlton. And I think that was his massive turning point. And he's become a cult hero. What he did in the summer to carry on his contract, he's absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of Leeds fans had a tear in their eye on Tuesday night when he came on against Southampton. And yeah, another unbelievable sermon. A player that's had a lot of injuries as well. I think he got an injury at Charlton in 2015-2016 season. He'd been in the wars. There's a picture, I think, against Rotherham when he gets headbutted or elbowed by Matt Derbyshire at the New York Stadium. He's got blood all over his yellow shirt. And yeah, just a warrior. He'd run out with Josh Warrington. And I think I tweeted, he got sent off against Bristol City, Bera. I think he headbutted Matty Taylor off the top of my head. And then that night, he ended up ring walking with Josh Warrington. So we've probably been in 2 boxing fights during the day. But yeah, 2 utterly brilliant servants for the football club and 2 players that will be severely missed. And I think we all read on the Square Ball this morning his open letter. And yeah, just another sad chapter for two players leaving at Leeds United.
Yeah, that's one of the things with Berardi, that on top of everything football-wise, he just seems to be a really nice bloke, which really helps. By the way, top of my head, I want to say it was Will Hatfield that he did it to, because I seem to remember it being someone who was ex-Leeds, but that could be wrong. I suppose with Berardi, there's sort of two versions of him to talk about. So first, I want to say, up until Marcelo Bielsa arrived, so fullback Gaetano Berardi, had he gone then, what do you think people would have thought? Or would they have thought about it at all, really?
I'll let you answer that, Casey.
It's an interesting, because I'm just trying to think. This is how messed up I get with times now. The goal Newport was the season before Bielsa, was it? Or was that under Bielsa?
Yeah.
All right.
That was Thomas Christensen, yeah.
So, I think you'd have had that sort of as a nice memory as someone who just didn't score goals. That he had that in what was an otherwise dismal display, a terrible defeat, Sai's spitting and all that. But as a footballer, I don't think there was a whole lot you were ever gonna. I personally, and I didn't get to see as week in week out during this point, but I don't think there was many people writing home about Berardi's performances. I think everyone liked him because he was a tough tackler and he was hard working. He fit the mold in that regard. But there was no, because you didn't get the glitz like you do with Luke Ayling as a right back.
Yeah.
You weren't talking about Berardi all that much. And then I think as the first season under Bielsa started, when he's playing centre back, and you're kind of looking at it, it's a very odd thing to see a, let's say, 5'9" central defender who was a right back, but he just became this really solid, really reliable player, but that just fit in so much better than he ever had done at right back, I think.
Yeah, and I think, and I read somewhere on social media today that someone picked out the tweet that he was sent off against. I don't know how people pick tweets out from 7 years ago, when he was sent off against Accrington Stanley. And someone, I think it was Phil Hay, that tweeted red card Berardi, and someone said, "Oh, there goes Sam Byron's replacement." So that's how far we're talking back. We all thought back then that Byron would be one to go forward as right back. And I think Gaetano had to adapt his game a little bit, and obviously he turned into a centre half, certainly under Paul Heckingbottom as well. And I just think he's been another massive, valuable member of the squad that has had, as I said, had a lot of injuries and has been there when needed. And it's a shame he's been injured, obviously, the majority of this season. But yeah, again, a player that's wholehearted, has so much experience. And I think what was interesting was when he got sent off against Derby County in the semi-final, I think it was a moment for him where he wanted to turn his career on the flip side. I remember he got a lot of negative press that night for his red card. And I think he turned that around by the performance that he did last season in 2019-2020, when he was a pivotal member of the squad that won promotion. So, yeah, two legends at Leeds United. I know we use that term quite loosely with footballers, but for me, Pablo and Gaetano would be two utter legends. And there's a wonderful picture when Pablo scores that goal at Swansea, I think, with Berardi trying to get hold of Patrick Bamford and literally getting him like that with Paddy and what have you. But yeah, it feels like an end of an era kind of thing. And it always is when you've got players with longevity. And I don't want to say this, but the day Marcelo goes, which I'm hoping is a long way down the line, is going to be possibly the hardest day for any Leeds United fan to take. So, yeah, just feels like a sad day and a real end of an era day, really.
Yeah.
I think I said this a couple of weeks ago, that I like this group of players that much. This part of me would be okay with us getting relegated back to the Championship or League One with them as a group of like 37-year-olds if they just never left, because I think they've got that much goodwill in the bank. I just go, it's fine. I don't care if none of them can move. I don't care if Luke Ayling can't get up the wing anymore. He's got all the credit in the world now. And And there's all these players who, and I don't want this to become a sad podcast, but there's all these players that you look at in their late 20s and early 30s, you're like, no, just stop aging. I love you all too much.
Yeah. And it's football, isn't it? That players do move on. We all think they're going to be here forever, and there'll be a time when other players will move on, and it's how you sort of replace them. I think Leeds have done brilliantly certainly without Pablo this season, and I think they have got players there that you look at the likes of Rodrigo, who started to come good, and I think with a full pre-season he'll be a superstar next season. The same with Rafinha. I think he'll be absolutely brilliant next season as well. So football's a game about evolving and moving forward. And come Sunday, we'll say our goodbyes to Pablo and Gaetano for those that are in the ground and what have you. And it'll be a sad day. It's natural when a player decides to move on, especially after 5 years and 7 years respectively. It's how you then try and replace them. I think they've already done a very good job. I'm sure Victor Orton, Andrea Radrizzani and the new board members will be looking at that and how to fill the gaps. But I think today and up to Sunday, remembering the two players that have played a pivotal part for the football club. I think I worked out Pablo's 82nd in the all-time list of Leeds United players. I think Gaetano's 98. So that shows you where they are, and I've had to think about over 800 players that played for Leeds, of where they are in a high regard and what have you. So, it will be a sad occasion on Sundays. I think it's just gutting that we haven't got a full house in there, because I think that really there wouldn't be a dry eye in the house.
Yeah. You forget how few players we've had that have gone years and years, especially in the relatively modern era. So when you do have one, it means so much more. It's sort of like with Becchio being in the top 10 scorers, even though a lot of them were in a lower league.
Yeah.
Modern day, it's one of the names that you think of. And I didn't really think about it, but I read it was on a transfer market earlier. I read it. Hernandez has got 36 goals and 41 assists.
Yeah.
Like, that is
that's incredible.
Well, they had it at 174 games. I'm not sure if that's actually right, but I would hope it is. That is an unbelievably good return.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
For someone who hasn't always been starting, he hasn't always. It's not like it's a 25 or 26-year-old in his prime. In theory, he should have been past his best when we got him, and he just got better and better and played the best football that you'll ever see him play.
I think, Jack, that's also down to Marcelo as well. I know Gary Monk had a massive part to play, and I'm guessing that goes back to the Swansea days, but what Bielsa has done, not only obviously with Pablo, but with the whole squad. So as we sit here today, we're 10th in the Premier League. When he took over a team that lost a bit of direction, they were finished 13th in the Paul Heckingbottom. Nobody quite knew where they were going to go, and what he'd done is quite incredible. Of course, he scored in the first match under Bielsa in the swashbuckling 3-1 victory home to Stoke City. So hopefully he'll return that and do what he did against West Brom 2 years ago. Maybe not after 16 seconds in that game, in that 4-0 victory at the start of March. But it does evolve, and then it does feel sad. And for me, and I know this might be controversial, probably up there was one of the best signings we've made outside of Premier League, probably with Robert Snodgrass. And by equity, we made a lot of signings outside the Premier League.
Well, you've preempted one of the questions I had written down there. Where does he rank in terms of Leeds United signings? Now, I wouldn't be saying go through all time and think of a top 10. But I do think that in terms of money paid for impact had, he has got to be up there with almost anyone. Especially in modern times. Yeah. Because you look back and you would know better than me. Historically, everyone says Bobby Collins was that important and things like that, but I don't really know about that. I wasn't there. But in terms of how cheap they were and how much impact they've had, you're looking at Pablo Hernandez, Jermaine Beckford, Luciano Becchio. They're all players that cost note and did loads. And Pablo may well be the best of them.
You look back, as you rightly say, Jack, through history, the likes of Bobby Collins, Johnny Giles, just two unbelievable signings at that particular. And it's all very relative. For me, I'd probably put Pablo on par with Gordon Strachan when he signed from Man United in March '89. was a player that obviously Strachan was made club captain at the start of the 89-90 season, won us the title in 89-90, finished fourth on Football of the Year in 1991, and then was captain as we won the league in 91-2. I'd say it's that important. You take away that goal at Swansea, that game finishes 0-0. You go into that Barnsley game afterwards, you sat there thinking, crikey, this could go. Look, it didn't because Brentford blew up. And I know it's all ifs, buts and maybes. But that goal, I think, probably meant 100 million to the football club. And I think that's how vital a player he is. Probably with him and Snodgrass was brilliant. I know Snodgrass didn't have the longevity that Pablo has had. I just think it's probably one of the most important, probably if not the top three signings that Leeds have made in their history with Pablo Hernandez, and that's been seen in, as you rightly say, with his assists, 41 assists, 36 goals is absolutely phenomenal, and he's adapted his game as well. And it just feels raw emotion at the moment talking about him, and it'll be a very, very, very sad day on Sunday, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think when you look at the amount of time we then spent in the Championship, just lurching from one mediocre season to another.
Yeah,
as I kind of said earlier, it just felt like he was signing him, and sort of that season was the first concerted effort of like, no, let's get some talented play. Like I know that you sort of look at around that time. And we'd moved on from you'd had obviously Warnock had brought in all his mates and unleashed the reign of terror that was Danny Pugh and Michael Brown on everyone.
Oh, yeah.
We'd had Adrian come in for his little swan diving appearance. We'd had Bianchi and everyone else coming in. And then just one year we just went, like, no, let's go get Kyle Bartley and let's go get Pontus Jansson and Pablo Hernandez. And it just seemed like, oh no, let's actually get some good footballers.
Yes.
Why haven't we done this sooner?
And it kind of felt like it just clicked. Even at the start, even the 16-17 season when we missed out on the playoffs, you started to get a sense that we were getting the club back, we're buying better players. Yes, I think we should have made the playoffs that season. I think it was after the draw at Newcastle, I think when Pablo had handed that particular goal for Chris Wood. Also, I mentioned the Norwich game, and even the Christensen. We had a great first half of the season, and it just all went tits up. But when Bielsa came, we just thought, right, we're going for this. And another goal that's kind of not been mentioned was a goal at Sheffield United in December 2018, when I think Jack Clark actually harassed the I think it was the defender or the goalkeeper, and Pablo had an empty net to tap in. Another vital goal. And as you rightly say, Casey, that something must have clicked at the time, thinking, let's go and get these players. Let's go and give this a real good go. And okay, it took Bielsa into a second season. To me, I don't think we're quite ready to go up in 2018-2019 season. And it made it even more enjoyable that Frank Lampard's Derby County were lost in the playoff final. So I had to get that in there. And it made it all the worthwhile for going up the way we did last season with 93 points. And Pablo was a massive part of that, as was Gaetano Berardi.
There's certainly something about because we'd had the first season under Grayson, we just missed out on the playoffs. Then we had the Monk season, we just missed out on the playoffs. And the thing about those seasons is like you sort of brace for it by the time you know you're not going to make it, because you see it slipping away week on week. Whereas like the way we played, and I don't know, we kind of struck. We had the bad moments at the end of the first Bielsa season with Brentford and Wigan so close together, but you still looked at that group of players and went, no, there's the quality there. We can still do this, but ultimately it ends in heartbreak. But I do feel in a way that it was one of those things that I think some of those players almost needed to go through to give them maybe a touch more mental toughness. Whereas I think if you like you say, you've got a very inexperienced squad in terms of Premier League football that goes up and hasn't known much hardship. could then turn around very quickly into a tough season. So, you know, we then obviously regrouped and you know, you sell Janssen, which at that point was unfathomable to think about. He'd just grown into this club so seamlessly.
Yes.
And then you just say, "Oh, we've got this lad Ben White coming in. We'll be fine." And you're like, it's like, what? He's only played League One though, and then 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It's like, God, he's good.
Yeah.
God, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think, Casey, that comes down to the recruitment side of it. And I remember at the end of the 17-18 season that Victor Orta came in for a lot of criticism. The likes of Caleb Ekiban hadn't worked, J. Royd Grott, Pavel Sabitsky, to name but three, Vernon Anita, Matthew Pennington on loan, that these players just hadn't worked. And I think once they got Bielsa, they said, right, we're going to go for this. We are going to try and get promoted from the Championship. And the likes of Barry Douglas came in, who at that particular point was the best left back in the Championship. Obviously, Patrick Bamford came in as well. So they started to look at other players. I know Lewis Baker came in and had a bit of a short spell at Leeds. I'm trying to think who else came in. Izzy Brown, who hardly played, obviously came in on loan. Jamal Blackman as well. But making the signings of the likes of Bamford at that particular point, I think was a real statement of intent from the board of directors. And they knew that they had to get it right. And okay, that first season you're out, it's up until Easter Monday, or Good Friday, should I say, home to Wigan. We'll never live down 10-man Wigan, unfortunately, and then Brentford, but we don't win at Brentford. They didn't quite work out. So to me, everything happens for a reason in football. And I don't think Leeds were ready to go up in 2018, 2019. And we've got a dreadful record in the playoffs, everybody knows. And the best way to go up is by winning the bloody thing. And we did that. Consummated, I think, by 10 points last season from second place West Brom, and they got it right. Victor Orta got it right, and I think he deserves all the credit in the world for it. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't want to try and go too much off segue because I know we'll talk about Pablo and Berardi, how they do replace these players and how they build the next level. The squad got some cracking youngsters coming through with the likes of Cody Drama. I don't know how to pronounce. Is it Crescenzo? Have I pronounced that right? Somerville.
I've always said Crescencio, but I don't know 100%. That's just what I've always said. One of the things I was going to say actually is before we move away from just Pablo and Berardi, other than the goal at Swansea, because that is the best Pablo moment.
Yeah.
It's not up for debate. That just is the case. Have you got a favourite Pablo Hernandez moment that people don't necessarily think about as much?
Crikey. Oh, it's hard to think. He took so many games by the scruff of the neck. I think a goal against Hull City in December 2017, when I think McGregor kicks it out from the back pass and it lands to Hernandez, and he's from the edge of the area and just flicks it over him. Just literally chips over into him empty net. And I think we actually went 5th in the league that night. And I think we were probably on for we thought we were going to be on for a playoff push, or at least a promotion push. Obviously, it never transpired, and things went completely wrong at the second half of that season. But I think that must bring some else. I mentioned the Sheffield United goal. We hadn't won at Bramall Lane since April 1992. So yeah, there's so many. I think his free kick away at Burton as well, when Ewan O'Kane had his shorts pulled down. God, there's a blast from the past. Ewan O'Kane. So it's so many memories from him, and yeah, he'll be missed around the place at Allen Road. He goes with everybody's good wishes, and I don't think one player or one supporter's got a bad word to say for Pablo Hernandez and Gaetano Berardi.
That's definitely true. It's weird. The two I had in my head were the free kick at Burton and the chip against Hull. Those were the two that I had in my head. Got any, Casey?
I was about to say, are we giving Pablo too much credit for the free kick at Burton? Was that not Gianni Vio's master plan right there?
Yeah.
No,
yes, the great Gianni Vio who had to hand him one goal. Dear God.
No, the Burton free kick was what I was going to go to. The one thing that I do quite like as I come away from, like, ultimately with these two is that you have these two people who, I think in different ways, are considered leaders at the club. In as much as I think Pablo was a leader on the field, whereas I think Berardi was probably considered more of a leader off the field as well. But it speaks to the state that we're in at the moment, that I am not unduly concerned about losing any leaders at the moment, because I do still look at Phillips and Dallas, Cooper, Ayling, that we still do have those players who are leaders in the dressing room and on the field.
Well, it was a little bit on the nose, but have you seen that picture floating about on Twitter of it's like Pablo and then the little baby Ninja Turtles, and it's Ayling, Phillips, Cooper, Dallas.
Yeah.
And now it's the fully grown turtles dragging Pablo and helping him out. And it was just like, it's a bit on the nose, but I understand the sentiment.
Yes, and there'll be more of that, I'm sure, over the days. But as I say, it's just a shame that not all of us are there on Sunday, because I think it'll have been a phenomenal send-off, and the ones that are there will make so much noise, I'm absolutely certain. And it's hard to comprehend what they've done for the football club, to be part of a team that has got us out of the wilderness after 16 arduous years. And my God, we've been through some tough times. The 6-4 at home to Preston, the 7-3 at home to Nottingham Forest, the 5-0 at home to Blackpool. My God, we've lived through all the crap down the 16 years. And then along comes Marcelo Bielsa, and lo and behold, we're sitting here today with a top 10 finish in the Premier League.
Yeah, I've got to say, same question, Berardi. What would be your moment thinking about him, other than the tackle against Accrington, I suppose, because we've already talked about that one.
I think just the way he's battled back after the injury at Derby last season, that we thought that might be the end of him, the way he battled back to full fitness. And I think the one moment that stands out for me is seeing him on the pitch against Southampton and becoming a Premier League player. That everybody possibly thought that might be beyond him. And to see him in a Leeds shirt at St Mary's, I think brought a tear to a lot of people's eyes. And I hope they'll both get game time on Sunday.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are briefly going to talk about the West Brom game later. But I will mention that now. Are they both going to start, do you reckon?
I hope so. I think with Llorente out injured, and obviously Robin Koch is not there, I'd imagine it'll be Cooper and Berardi at centre half, and Phillips obviously in midfield. And I hope Hernandez starts. He's not started for a wee while in the Premier League, so I'd expect them to. And I hope Pablo gets given the captaincy on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect. I think Pablo will be captain on Sunday.
Yeah,
When it comes to Berardi, first thing that actually jumped into my head then was him at centre back, coming out against Stoke on the opening day, marking Peter Crouch and challenging him in the air.
Yeah.
And it just looked ridiculous, but he won it. Like, he won the battle. He didn't always actually get his head on the ball, but he made Crouch unable to get the flick-ons right. And I was just like, this guy, he just gives you everything. And it just jumped into my head then when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I think another one,
I'd just try to think, like I said, outside of the elation on his face when he scored at Newport. There's something I just love about this, is the image of him just basically going head to head with Matty Taylor. And I know Matty Taylor went down like a ton of bricks after he barely touched him. But there's just something about his, like, you've got this man who, for all intents and purposes, is the most handsome player on our team.
Yes.
Like, the man's a god. And then just is equally just, if you want to start something with me, that's fine, but it's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, and it's so many memories. And I remember I was lucky enough to be sat in the press box when he scored at Newport, and I turned around to the press guys and I said to them, have I just seen that? Has Berardi actually scored? I think it was his 104th appearance off the top of my head, and his first goal. And I've been lucky to see both his goals, that and his little flick away at Salford. So, look, if Leeds get a penalty on Sunday, I want one person to take it. That'll be Gaetano Berardi, because he's never scored at Ellen Road, and I think that'll just sum the guy up perfectly.
Oh, that's going to be a problem. Pitch invasion during COVID.
Oh, don't. Let's not go there.
He's been they've both been absolutely brilliant. Obviously, we mentioned how pleased we were to see him come on against Southampton. We will briefly talk about the game against Southampton. Obviously, it's a few days ago now. Most of it's been done, but 2-0 win, another really solid victory. 1 defeat in 10, top of the form table for the last 10 games now. This one, first half, I didn't think we were great, but second half, I thought we were miles better side.
Yeah, and I think it just sums Leeds up on the travels this season that to win 10 Premier League games on the road is a new record in a 38-game season. Has been, I think, 38 top flight 38-game seasons, and Leeds have won 10 away games as a newly promoted side. That's incredible to do that, and especially to do that in the Premier League, the highest level is brilliant. And I never thought Southampton had a sniff, to tell you the truth. I thought Kiko did what he had to do, and Kiko had a hand in the second goal with his long kick downfield. So
I don't want him playing, but that was a hell of a pass. It has to be said.
Yeah, it was a hell of a pass, and look, it just sort of sums up our away campaign. The results we've had away from home this season has been absolutely phenomenal, and obviously the Man City result will stand out amongst everything, but. No, and I worked this out, no promoted Premier League side has ever won the last 4 games of the season. Not even Blackburn did that in 92-3 when they finished that high, and the same with Newcastle. Blackburn lost at Man United in May, and Newcastle lost at Sheffield United in April of 94. So, it's just been a brilliant end to the season. Everybody was worried about relegation, that Fulham had won a game of football, I think, back in February. And I must have said, Leeds are not going down, and I believe that from the start, that Leeds were not going down. I actually made a prediction that they'd finish in the top 6, and okay, we're not going to finish top 6. We might not be far off, but it's been a monumental first season back, and the most important signing of the summer now is going to be Bielsa. Get that right, everything else will follow.
Yeah,
I found it so funny this season because 2 or 3 times after games, you've had people asking Bielsa why we've not. You've yet to win a game against any of the big 6.
Yeah,
but we're a newly promoted team. We're not expected to. Like you say, with that record of winning 10 games away from home, we've gone out, and not only have we won the games that you'd want us to win against sort of the other newly promoted teams and the other teams that are down there.
Yeah,
but, we've gone and got 3 points at Everton. We've gone away and got 3 points at Villa, and we've got the results that you'd want to get as a team that's not just battling against relegation. It's just looking comfortable in the first season.
Correct.
And I just found it funny that this line of question, like, well, why haven't you won at Old Trafford and why haven't you won at Stamford Bridge? Like,
and
where were we last season?
Correct. I completely agree with you. And the narrative of this Bielsa burnout is just ridiculous. And unfortunately, a lot of these pundits won't come out and admit they got it wrong. The likes of Chris Boyd, Gabriel Bonlahor, Paul Merson, people that I actually quite respect for their opinions, maybe not a Bonlahor, because he basically gave Leeds a team talk against Aston Villa back in October. But have they not learned? Listen, we're not going to go and win the Championship in our first season. It's never happened in history before. Okay, might win it our second season like we did in 92. But all jokes aside, we've had a monumental first season back, and it's been magnificent. We played some wonderful football. The only tonking we've had is Man United, and we learned from that, and we got a point against them at Ellen Road back in April. And I think it's been a phenomenal first year back, and let's see what we can do next season. I don't believe we're going to be a Sheffield United Mark II. I'm sick of all this narrative that burns out, this, that, and the other. These opponent fans have got nothing better to do. Can they not see Leeds United are here? And without getting arrogant and cocky, we've got a manager who knows what he's doing. We are 10th in the Premier League. We are the 10th best club in England. That's unbelievable at this moment in time. We've not been this high since we wore that shirt that you're wearing, Chris, since 2001-2 under David O'Leary. So I'm really excited for the future. And let's go out. Let's batter West Brom. Let's go and get 3 points. Let's get to 59 points, and let's see where we end up. And then the planning, I'm sure, has already started for next season.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, final game at season, Sunday, 4:00, West Brom at home. they'll make changes. We probably will as well, because there's no point in them not playing a few kids and seeing if they'll be any good for next season from the Championship. And for us, this game is more about sentimental than the actual result. We've all said already. We think Berardi will play centre back. We think Pablo will start as captain. Is there anyone else that you think will start that normally doesn't? Like, I think Strauch might start ahead of Phillips because they might want to give Phillips a game off before the Euros.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Actually, I think Strauch probably will play instead of Phillips. I'd like to see the likes of Joe Geldart given a run in. Obviously, I think Paddy deserves to start. Obviously, Paddy, Dallas, and Ayling have played every game this season. To have 3 players to start every game this season is completely unheard of at the top level. Anyone else? If you look at the squad depth at the moment, because of the injuries we've got, and obviously Click's having a rest before the European Championships, Cott's gone home to have a rest. I can't really think of too many players. Costa's obviously injured. Obviously, I'd love to see Somerville involved and Geldard involved. Whether they are remains to be seen, because we've not had that many debutants when it comes to think of it. It's only youngsters, apart from the FA Cup game, and made the debut. Charlie Cresswell made his debut, I think, in the Hull City game, and I think now Huggins came on against Arsenal when the game was gone. So yeah, there's not many to really pick from. Vader, I don't know. Does he need a chance to really prove himself for next season? That sort of remains to be seen. But Kiko's definitely starting in goal by the sounds of it. I know Ian is being cut up by the French under 21 side. So, yeah, I think as we both all agree, I think Berardi and Hernandez will start on Sunday.
Yeah, we just actually had a comment from a friend at Show, Jason Middleton, who just said it'd be nice for Shackleton to play, and I agree. I'd like to see Shackleton play because he's. Don't get me wrong, with 10th, I'm delighted with how it's gone all season, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Shackleton if I could have. Yeah,
he's probably been unlucky because the team has performed so well this season that it's going to be interesting with the likes of Jamie Shackleton, Alfie McCalmont, Robbie Gotts, where they go from here. Obviously, Shackleton's had more of a first-team experience than the latter two. But yeah, Shackleton obviously scored in the 4-0 victory, the last goal of the Championship under Marcelo Bielsa, in the 4-0 victory over Charlton. So yeah, he's not had too many first-team opportunities because of the success of the squad. And that happens sometimes because the squad has been so consistent that Bielsa hasn't really made that many changes this season.
Yeah, I'd love to see Shackleton ideally start at centre mid, but if Pablo's going to be playing, I can't see him having both of them in there. And in the same way, I would have quite liked to have seen Huggins get another run out, but again, if this is also Alioski's last game, and that's one we'll find out about later, then again, I would like to see him get. Ideally, I'd love to see Huggins get that run, but I can't see it with it likely being Alioski's last game.
Yeah, he's not one a manager Bielsa did to make too many. I know he did against Derby County because they're all pissed, and I'll never forget seeing Ben White at the end of that game with his facial expressions, thinking, "How the hell have we won that game of football?" But that's what we did, and what have you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. I think we're on BT Sport on Sunday, and let's see. I think we'll absolutely murder West Brom, to tell you the truth. So, yeah, a game where I think we're all looking forward to, and I'm going to go. I've got 2 predictions, and one's an absolutely ridiculous prediction. One's a sensible prediction. The sensible prediction is 4-0. The ridiculous position, 7-0.
Well, that's fair. The last 2 games against Burnley, I said 2-0 unless Bailey Peacock-Farrell plays, and then it's 4-0. And then it's 4-0.
Yeah.
So, against Southampton, I said 2-0 unless for some reason Bailey Peacock-Farrell's in goal, and then 4-0. So for West Brom, I'm going to say 2-0 unless for some reason Bailey Peacock-Farrell's in goal, and then 4-0.
We should go out and hammer them. Let's just, we really should.
Yeah, I could see it getting, us racking up a few goals if we start quite well. But, Big Sam is clearly already on holiday at this point.
Yes.
As he was at pains to mention in his post-match press conference on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday night, when he just kept saying on holiday.
Night,
on holiday. Like, all right, Sam, we understand that, but you have got another game left, yeah?
Yes.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go 5-0. Sod it. Why not?
That'll do.
Yeah.
And won't that be symmetrical to win 5-0 at the Hawthorns and win 5-0 at Ellen Road? That's never happened before. Well, we've won both games 5-0 away from home, so that'd be quite a nice way to finish the season.
God, that'd be so satisfying.
Are we going to have another incredibly hilarious own goal?
Wow. The daft thing about that, Jack, is I was watching the game on TV, I think it was on Amazon, and I looked down for literally 2 seconds, and the ball was in the net. And I'm thinking, how the hell's it got there? It was one of the strangest own goals I think we've seen, and what have you. I think was it Darnell Furlong?
No, it was Romain Sawyers.
Romain Sawyers, that's it. Right position. I think they just switched wings. Just a bizarre own goal, and it got us on the way to our best away victory. And something I tweeted on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. We've now, for the first time in our history, won 1-0 away, 2-0 away, 3-0 away, 4-0 away, 5-0 away. Never done that in our history before, and up until this season. So yeah, some nice little symmetrics to go with the results. And I think we can get our 6th double of the season. I think only Ipswich, have got more from a Premier League promoted side. Then they got 7 in 2001 when they finished in 5th position and got relegated the following season. So we won't follow that record.
Yeah. Right. But one thing that I actually meant to talk about this earlier on, but basically because of Pablo and because of Gaetano, I totally forgot to bring it up, which is my bad. But yeah, next week.
Yes.
Well, not literally on Sunday. I'm all over the shop with my hours. But on Sunday, there's the live stream for life, for which we are all involved in, as are
we are indeed
many others. That is why I brought it up, because there is so many, but there is no way I'm going to just list them all. But yeah, starting at midday on the Sunday and going right through to midday on the Monday.
Yes.
We have got a live stream, 24 hours, raising money for the NHS. Various Leeds United people off Twitter and podcasts and stuff. I wouldn't want to say any more than that, because other than, Michael Norman, and I guess, and would probably qualify as somewhat famous, and then obviously above them all, Mr. Andrew Dalton.
Yes, I'm here. I was going to be part of it with the Have You Seen a Better Goal one? I think they're doing 11 till 12 on Sunday night, but it's a little bit past my bedtime, unfortunately, and I've got an event which I'll talk about shortly coming up on Monday night, so I need to be fresh as a daisy for that one.
Yeah, which I was actually just trying to find the tweet of in the background.
Don't worry about it. It's there somewhere. I tweet so much these days. But yeah, we've got a Leeds United themed football quiz on Monday night. It's all on my Twitter feed. I'll be tweeting about it tomorrow before the game on Sunday as well through Quizbit. All you need to do is go to www.kwbit.com. All the information's on there. I will give everybody the code to sign in, I think, on Monday night. Kicks off at 7:30. There's some tough questions in there. It's very difficult to write the questions. You might have picked up some of the questions during this podcast. You've been listening. I might have given away some of the answers. So, yeah, very much looking forward to it. It'd be a good laugh. It's all for mind as well. You don't have to donate anything. You can donate as much as 50p or £1. It's completely up to you. So, yeah, it's a good laugh. We're looking forward to it. We're looking to try and get 50, 60 people involved. And it kicks off on Monday night at 7:30.
Yeah, and if you do, you'll be going up against both me and KC, who were both already entered.
Yes, super.
And I have to go big because I won the All Stats Aren't We one, so I've got to.
How did you?
I've got to go big on this one. This one's more trivia based, though, so that'll be worse.
Yes,
I'll definitely be worse.
The All Stats Aren't We are brilliant with what they do. Obviously, I'm not. I'm different. I'm more of my fixtures, my goal scorers, my dates and things like that. And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of people. Johnny Cooper, who has done an absolutely brilliant job with Opta this year. He's fantastic with some of the stuff he comes up with. And Chris Taylor, who is LAFC Data, he's phenomenal. And the two guys that I've got a heck of a lot of time for. I don't know if they're watching or not, but yeah, they're really, really good at the job that they do. And I think we've got a lot of good stats guys out there that help towards sort of publicising the football club, and more of the same next season, all being well.
Yeah, well, I'm really appreciative of you coming on, mate. As much as because I haven't seen you in ages, but it's really good to have you on.
Yes.
It's a good person to talk football with.
Thank you, and hopefully we can start doing this regularly from August, all being well, when we do get fans back into the stadium.
Right. Well, has anyone got anything to add? Otherwise, I'll wrap it up.
No, I'll just I've enjoyed having you on today because it's
Thank you.
The two of us have come a long way since exchanging glances at each other during dreadful performances when we used to sit close to each other.
Oh, God, you remember those? Yeah, back in the day. Jeez, there's so many, KC, that you don't. I mentioned a couple there. The Preston game in 2010-11 when we were 4-2 up, managed to lose 6. How do you lose 6-4? How the hell did you lose a game of football 6-4? And then to lose 7-3. Wow. Yeah. The good old days of Neil Warren. Geez, yeah, we won't go there. But yeah, it's all part of being a journey. Part of being a football fan. You have the highs, you have the lows, and it makes the highs even more worthwhile.
Yeah, well, I will mention that if you want to follow Dalton on Twitter, it's at LUFC Stats. But if you follow us, you definitely follow him because he has like 16 times as many Twitter followers as we do.
I've hit 20k today, which I'm quite proud of.
Oh, I didn't realise that. That's a result.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near Chris Taylor today. She's got 50,000 followers and utterly brilliant. So I'm trying to I'm catching up. It might take me about 10 years. But
I wonder if the word data does better on Google searches than stats does.
Probably.
That's how he gets
It's
ahead.
all good. It's all good. Chris is a wonderful guy. Got a lot of time for him and what have you. So yeah, it's just to reiterate, it's been an emotional drain day. I'm sure there'll be more of the same on Sunday. And just think this time on Sunday night, that'll be that. And that's another season consigned to the almanacs.
Yep. Well, and we'll look forward to reading about it in one of your books at some point in a few years.
Absolutely.
Probably.
Fingers crossed. There will be plans. I'm having a wee break at the moment, but there will be plans for book 5 hopefully next year or so.
Cool. If you've got any energy left to read anything after you're done reading one of Stats' excellent books, you can read the stuff we write, which goes up on Through It All Together, which is at THRU. It's all LUFC on Twitter and throughitalltogether.sbnation.com. We're on Twitter at Mighty Whites Pod. Obviously, I've mentioned Mr. Dalton's on at LUFC Stats. It's been really good having you on, mate, and I think that'll do us. So
lovely, thank you.
I've been Jack. See ya.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.
And see you.
I've been Stats. And thank you.
Cool. In a bit.